Honest with you, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted with Sue Bird.
Welcome back to Pro Caitlin TV, where we break down the biggest stories shaking the world of women's basketball. Today, we're talking about a debate that has completely taken over social media, sports shows, and fan communities. A growing number of fans are asking a question that nobody expected to hear this season. What happens to the WNBA when Caitlin Clark isn't on the court? Across the internet, passionate supporters are posting the same message over and over again. No Clark, no league. Some believe her absence exposes just how much attention she has brought to the league. Others argue that the WNBA has plenty of stars and that no single player should define its future. The disagreement has become one of the hottest topics in sports, with everyone from analysts to former players weighing in. But that's only the beginning. As more discussions unfold, fans are pointing to television ratings, sold-out arenas, ticket demand, and the non-stop media attention surrounding Caitlin Clark. Some are demanding answers from league officials, while others say the conversation itself is unfair to the many talented players who have spent years helping the WNBA grow. So what's really happening behind all the headlines? Is this simply an emotional reaction from passionate fans? Or does it reveal a much bigger challenge facing the league? And why has this debate exploded so quickly across the basketball world? Stay with us because we're breaking down the full story, the biggest reactions, and the developments that have everyone talking. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this controversy has become one of the most talked about conversations in women's basketball. The conversation didn't begin with an official announcement or a dramatic press conference. Instead, it started where so many modern sports debates begin, on social media. After Caitlin Clark missed games and the spotlight around the league noticeably shifted, fans flooded platforms like X, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube with one message that quickly went viral: no Clark, no league. Within hours, sports pages were sharing screenshots of the trend. Reaction videos started appearing everywhere. Podcasts dedicated entire episodes to the topic. Television analysts began asking whether the WNBA had become too dependent on one superstar for national attention. It wasn't just about one game or 1 week anymore. It had become a conversation about the future of the entire league. For many fans, Caitlin Clark represents something unique. Long before she entered the WNBA, she had already become one of the biggest names in college basketball. Her deep three-pointers, fearless confidence, and ability to create unforgettable moments attracted millions of new viewers. Many of those fans followed her into the professional league, buying tickets, purchasing jerseys, and tuning into games they might never have watched before. That's why her absence immediately sparked concern. Fans who had become regular viewers because of Clark suddenly wondered whether the excitement would continue without her on the floor. Some supporters argued that television broadcasts simply felt different. They said arenas seemed less energetic, online discussions slowed down, and sports talk shows spent less time covering the league. Whether those perceptions matched the full picture or not, they fueled an emotional debate that spread faster every single day. The media quickly noticed the growing discussion. Headlines began asking difficult questions. Was the WNBA experiencing a temporary slowdown in attention? Had Caitlin Clark become the league's biggest attraction? Or were fans overreacting to a short-term situation? Those questions divided basketball fans almost immediately. One side believed the answer was obvious. They argued that Clark had transformed women's basketball by bringing millions of new viewers into the sport. According to these fans, her influence extended far beyond her statistics. Every game she played became a national event. Every matchup generated headlines. Every highlight spread across social media within minutes. They pointed to packed arenas whenever the Indiana Fever visited opposing cities. Fans lined up hours before tip-off just to catch a glimpse of Clark during warm-ups. Children wore her jersey. Families planned road trips around her schedule. Local businesses even reported increased activity on game days whenever the Fever came to town. To those supporters, the message was simple. Clark wasn't just another talented rookie or rising star. She had become one of the biggest attractions in all of basketball. But another group of fans strongly disagreed. They argued that focusing only on Caitlin Clark ignored the incredible talent throughout the WNBA. They reminded everyone that the league is filled with elite athletes, championship-winning veterans, and young stars who have spent years building women's professional basketball. These fans insisted that while Clark had undeniably brought fresh attention to the sport, suggesting the league couldn't succeed without her was unfair to every other player. That disagreement only made the conversation even louder. Sports television soon joined the debate. Analysts discussed how much Clark's arrival had changed media coverage. Some believed she had accelerated the league's popularity in ways few athletes ever have. Others cautioned against measuring the health of an entire league based on the availability of one player. No matter which side people supported, almost everyone agreed on one thing: Caitlin Clark had become impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, fans attending games continued sharing their own experiences online. Videos of sold-out crowds, enthusiastic young fans, and loud ovations circulated alongside clips of heated debates about the league's future. Every new post seemed to spark another wave of arguments. Even casual sports fans started paying attention. People who rarely followed women's basketball suddenly found themselves reading headlines and watching highlight clips simply because the conversation had become so widespread. That alone demonstrated how much attention the situation was generating. Another reason emotions ran so high was the expectations surrounding Clark from the moment she entered the league. She wasn't introduced as just another rookie. She arrived with enormous anticipation after one of the most celebrated college careers in basketball history. Television networks promoted her games heavily. National media outlets covered nearly every milestone. Opposing teams often moved games to larger arenas to accommodate increased demand. That level of attention created excitement, but it also created pressure. Every performance, every interview, every injury update, and every absence instantly became national news. As a result, whenever Clark wasn't on the court, fans naturally started asking questions. Some wondered how long she would be away. Others questioned how the league would maintain the momentum that had been building throughout the season. The discussions weren't limited to basketball strategy anymore. They had evolved into conversations about marketing, television audiences, fan engagement, and the overall direction of the WNBA. Media personalities offered different perspectives almost every day. Some praised the league for experiencing unprecedented visibility because of Clark's arrival. Others emphasized that sustainable growth depends on promoting many stars rather than relying on a single face of the league. Those competing viewpoints kept the story alive. With every new article, every television segment, and every viral social media post, the debate only intensified. Supporters defended Clark passionately, while others pushed back just as strongly, insisting that the WNBA's future is much bigger than any one player. As emotions continued rising, one thing became increasingly clear. This was no longer just a conversation about Caitlin Clark. It had become a broader discussion about the league's identity, its growth, and how it should build on the incredible attention women's basketball has received over the past few years. And just when it seemed the debate couldn't get any bigger, another wave of reactions, fresh commentary, and unexpected developments pushed the story into an entirely new direction. That's where things became even more fascinating. Just when it seemed the debate had reached its peak, another wave of reactions swept across the basketball world. Sports talk shows continued discussing the topic, fan pages posted new clips every hour, and comment sections became battlegrounds where thousands of people argued over the same question. Is the WNBA doing enough to keep the momentum that Caitlin Clark helped generate? What made the conversation even more intense was that everyone seemed to have a different answer. Some fans believed the league should lean into Clark's popularity because moments like this don't come around very often. They argued that whenever a player captures the attention of millions of casual sports fans, the league has to maximize that opportunity. To them, Clark wasn't simply another talented player. She was someone capable of introducing an entirely new audience to women's basketball. Others pushed back immediately. They argued that building the future around one superstar could create long-term problems. Basketball has always been a team sport, and the WNBA has spent decades developing incredible athletes who deserve recognition. These fans believed the league should continue promoting its many stars instead of allowing every headline to revolve around a single player. That difference in opinion only fueled even more discussion online. Every new interview became headline news. Every analyst's opinion was clipped into short videos and shared across social media. Some commentators praised Clark's undeniable impact on television audiences and public interest. Others reminded viewers that the league's recent growth is also the result of years of hard work by countless players, coaches, and organizations. The debate became less about choosing sides and more about understanding how much one athlete can influence an entire sport. Meanwhile, Indiana Fever games remained one of the biggest attractions whenever Clark was available. Fans continued sharing stories about traveling hundreds of miles just to attend a game. Parents posted videos of their children wearing Fever jerseys and practicing long-range shots inspired by Clark. Those moments reminded everyone why her popularity had become such a major talking point. At the same time, many longtime WNBA supporters expressed frustration with the narrative. They pointed out that the league is filled with elite talent, championship contenders, and exciting young players who deserve attention regardless of whether Clark is on the court. In their view, reducing every conversation to one player overlooked the competitive basketball being played across the league. That perspective resonated with many fans as well. Instead of arguing against Clark's popularity, they argued for a bigger picture. They believed the increased attention surrounding Clark should become an opportunity to introduce new fans to the rest of the league rather than creating unnecessary divisions between players and fan bases. Still, emotions continued running high. Every time a television ratings discussion appeared online, thousands of comments followed. Some users claimed Clark had changed the league forever. Others argued that ratings naturally fluctuate throughout a season and shouldn't be used to draw sweeping conclusions. The numbers themselves became only part of the story. The real story was how passionately people cared. For years, women's basketball fans had hoped for this level of national conversation. Now, nearly every major sports outlet was discussing the WNBA on a regular basis. Even people who had never watched a full game before were paying attention because the debate had become impossible to ignore. That increased attention created both opportunity and pressure. The league suddenly found itself under a brighter spotlight than ever before. Every scheduling decision, every broadcast, every player interview, and every social media post received more attention than many people could have imagined just a few years earlier. For league officials, that kind of visibility can be exciting, but it also comes with enormous expectations. Fans now expected bigger events, stronger marketing, improved broadcasts, and continued growth. Many believed this was the perfect moment to build lasting momentum instead of relying on temporary headlines. Media personalities echoed similar thoughts. Some argued that Clark's arrival should be viewed as a starting point rather than the final destination. They suggested that the league now has an opportunity to introduce casual viewers to rising stars, championship contenders, historic rivalries, and compelling storylines throughout the season. Others warned against creating unrealistic expectations. They noted that every professional sports league experiences ups and downs. Interest naturally rises around major stars, important matchups, and unforgettable moments. The real challenge is turning that excitement into long-term support that lasts well beyond one season. As these discussions continued, fans noticed something interesting. The conversations themselves were becoming part of the entertainment. People weren't just watching games anymore. They were watching interviews, reacting to podcasts, sharing opinion videos, and debating every new headline with friends and family. The WNBA had become one of the most talked about topics in sports, even when opinions differed dramatically. For some observers, that was actually a positive sign. They argued that passionate debate often means people are emotionally invested. Fans don't spend hours discussing something they don't care about. Whether people agreed or disagreed with the "No Clark, No League" slogan, the fact that it generated so much conversation demonstrated how much attention women's basketball was receiving. Still, one important question remained unanswered. What happens next? Can the league continue building on this unprecedented level of public interest? Will new fans who discovered the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark continue following the sport throughout the season? And can the league transform today's viral discussions into years of sustained growth? No one had a definitive answer. But one thing was becoming increasingly clear. This wasn't just about one player, one team, or one season anymore. The discussion had evolved into something much larger, a conversation about the future of women's basketball, the power of superstar athletes, and how a league balances individual popularity with collective success. As the season moved forward, every game, every headline, and every major performance added another chapter to the story. And then, just when fans thought they had seen it all, another series of developments promised to reshape the conversation once again, raising even bigger questions about the league's future, its biggest stars, and what this entire moment could mean for years to come. That's exactly where this story takes its most dramatic turn. As the debate continued to dominate headlines, one thing became impossible to ignore. The conversation had grown far beyond a single player or a single season. Whether people agreed with the slogan "No Clark, no league" or completely rejected it, almost everyone acknowledged one reality: Caitlin Clark had become one of the biggest talking points in all of sports. The biggest question now wasn't whether Clark had made an impact. Very few people disputed that. The real question was what the WNBA would do with the enormous attention surrounding the league. Many analysts argued that this moment represented a rare opportunity. Every major sports league dreams of attracting millions of new viewers. The WNBA suddenly found itself being discussed on national television, across social media, and by people who had never followed women's basketball before. Supporters believed this was the perfect chance to turn curiosity into long-term loyalty. They argued that if new fans enjoyed the exciting style of play, discovered new favorite teams, and connected with other stars around the league, the WNBA could emerge stronger than ever. From that perspective, Caitlin Clark wasn't the entire story. She was the introduction to a much larger one. But not everyone saw it that way. Some fans remained convinced that Clark's influence had fundamentally changed the league's visibility. They pointed to the excitement that followed her wherever she played. Home crowds seemed louder. Media coverage expanded. Sports debate shows discussed women's basketball more frequently than ever before. To those fans, Clark had become the driving force behind an entirely new wave of attention. Others immediately challenged that idea. They reminded everyone that the league's growth has been building for years through the efforts of countless players, coaches, broadcasters, and organizations. They argued that today's success didn't happen overnight and shouldn't be credited to one individual alone. That difference in opinion